Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Tosh Customs. It's been a while, but here we are, and finally also with our long-awaited Winter Soldier review. This was a gift from my girlfriend, and so she actually brought it back to my place so that I could review it and look over it with you guys, and she's actually here with me now if she wants to say hi.
Hello.
All right, so here she is, and here's the figure, and let's go into it. As always, we will take a look at the accessories first, so I'm going to pop off this guy's head and set Winter Soldier aside. Starting with the accessories, he comes with a number of guns and one knife. And so we have this shotgun. This is actually from the Scourge figure, and I was able to sand down the handle a little bit and then spray it all black. And that was enough. There's a little bit of paint rub in the handle right there. You can see the brown, but it's nothing so bad that from a distance you can really tell. So it's all right. And honestly, when you guys are painting guns in general, your handles aren't going to be very clean no matter what, because those figure hands are tight, and so they're going to rub up against it almost no matter what you do, unless you make it, unless you make it so small you can't grip. So that's just something I've learned to deal with. But we sprayed it a matte black, and then coming in here, we did some pretty classic metal weathering, and so we ran over it with some gunmetal and then hit up some of the edges with a silver. If I can get the camera to focus, there we go. You can see we hit up all these edge lines with a silver. And that's pretty much the whole design through, or that's pretty much the paint app through the whole gun. I did put in some gloss black for where the casing ejects, so that's pretty cool. Coming over to the other side, very similar paint job, and obviously we have the shells in red and gold. And then for the sight, we have a gloss black on either end of the lens so that it looks like you can see through. So that's the shotgun right there. Putting that aside, we also have Winter Soldier's assault rifle, and this looks like an AK with an underbarrel grenade launcher, and I believe this is from it's either an early Hasbro or Toy Biz Deadpool. Honestly, this gun really doesn't show up very often, so I'm going to guess it's a Toy Biz one, but I did modify it. I shaved down part of the upper right here so that I could fit the scope. So I did modify this a little bit, did a little bit of gun kit bashing. And once again, very similar paint job in terms of the matte black with the gunmetal and the silver. Once again, where the casing ejects, we have some gloss black. And then also in the spaces inside the underbarrel grenade launcher, I have some gloss black in there too, just to add a little bit of depth to it. And then since we did put on a scope up top, the scope is once again done in some gloss black, like so, on either end. And yeah, that's what we got there. Pretty standard, straightforward. The next thing we have is Winter Soldier's little SMG. I'm really not sure what kind of gun this is, but here we go. It reminds me a lot of the one he used in the actual Captain America Winter Soldier movie, the one where he sort of just pulls it off of his back. I really didn't have to do any mods to this. I dry brushed it in a little bit of silver just to brighten it up a tad, but it's pretty much just the original. The only real standout thing is that I did run some gold through the magazine itself so that it was as though you could see the bullets, because normally these magazines, that gap isn't there so you can count how many bullets you have left or sort of just visually track it. So I did put some gold in there just to sort of mimic that effect. Moving on to the next gun, we have his pistol. I really like this one. Once I get the camera to focus, I really do like this one. It looks like a 911 or like a Glock, and then it has some sort of compensator on the front. I believe no, I don't remember if this is a Titanfall gun. It might be. If not, correct me if I'm wrong. I have so many guns, it's hard to keep track of what figures they come from sometimes. But either way, it is a very cool gun. It looks realistic, but definitely has some really fun touches to it. The paint job is the same as the other ones, just matte black with some gunmetal and some silver on it. Yeah, and so it's just really fun. It looks really nice. And then finally, we come to the knife. I did nothing with the knife because all the knife sheets from Marvel Legends hold really tight to the blade, and so if I painted the blade, it would just get all this gross paint rub. So I just opted out, and so the knife is just as is standard. Coming to the heads now, we have two Winter Soldier heads. We first have the one that comes with the normal figure, the original figure, And this guy, I did not notice he had that little black scratch there. That's unfortunate. I'll have to paint that up. But either way, I removed the hair from the head when I was going to paint it so that I would be able to just spray the face down. So gave him a whole new skin tone. And then if you guys have seen the original, you know that his mask is black, but it's like a weird matte black, and most of his eyes are still showing. So I decided to go for a much more comic look, painted it all black throughout, and then gave him white eyes, much more comic-esque. And then for the hair, I like how Winter Soldier's hair looks a little bit slicked, and so instead of doing a matte black underneath, I actually did a gloss black through it, and that gives it a much more, I guess almost like an oily or wet look, which I feel like reminds me also of the movie, a little bit stringy, a little bit, clumpy. So he's a little bit disheveled, but that's what it looks like if you put some gloss under it. So if you guys want that sort of slick hair, maybe some sweaty hair or something like that, that's the way you do it. And then I dry brushed just a leather brown over the top with also some black gray in there. So you get some really good layers and dimensions to it. So that's that hair. Coming over to this one, this is from Red Arrow. This is my alternate Bucky head, which I sort of look at like my World War II Bucky head. Obviously the mask is a little bit less pointy, so it's probably like an early generation of the mask, and his hair is much shorter, a much more military looking cut. So that's that. Once again, did the same paint applications, a new skin tone, and then painted the mask all gloss black with then picking up the eyes. And the hair is painted the same with that gloss black underneath, within the black gray, and then the leather brown over it. So, pretty standard, but I think it looks really nice. So now, I think the bigger standout portion of this figure is actually what we did with the body. There's a lot of stuff we did, and I think the modifications were probably all for the best. The goal for making this figure, and what me and my girlfriend were talking about, is how do we make the comic character and the movie character mix and sort of come to life, because the movie character was cool, but the versions we got of him, at least in figure form, weren't the best ever. And then we got the comic character, and the comic character, his coloring was a little off, just didn't look very tactical. So we decided to mix the two together, create the best of both worlds. So we did use the new comic Bucky, or comic Winter Soldier figure that came out, I don't know, like 6 months ago now, something like that. So some of the differences we did just right off the bat from the original figure, we removed the belt, completely redid the legs, and then cut the collar off. Those were the really big top changes. Obviously, we added a holster, we added some extra magazines, and built a whole new belt. But we're going to start from the top and move down. So coming to the collar, if you've seen the original figure, he has this very loose, like open neck collar. I didn't like that at all. It didn't look very professional. It looked like he was wearing a vest and then almost like a Hawaiian like beach shirt for how wide the collar was. So I cut that off and re-sculpted it, and I actually did multiple layers here. As you can see, he has this very like tight upper collar, and then he also has this gloss black little ring with the button that runs all the way around. In terms of shirt, I don't really know how that works. I don't really know what the function is of it, but it definitely looked really cool to have sort of that underlayer and then the clipping above it. So that's what I chose to do, and that runs all the way around, and you can see all the wrinkles and stuff are sculpted in there. So that turned out really well. The next thing we wanted to do, and we took after this from the movie, is he had a chest harness. And what we ended up doing is actually looking into a lot of Winter Soldier concept art, and we found something similar to this, not quite. I did my own modifications to it, but we did find one that sat on only one side versus the Winter Soldier that was sort of like an upper chest all the way around on either side strap. So I sculpted this whole thing. As you can see right here, we have like the main buckle piece right over, I guess, over the heart, which I figure is some good chest protection too, probably. But then we have all these little pinpoints that have been sculpted in, and so that's sort of where these straps all plug into it. And then coming over the top, you can see that we sort of have that leather adjustable strap done in some gloss black so that he can tighten this around there. And these straps are painted in a black gray, or actually not a black gray, I take that back, in a matte black. And they run all the way around. Coming to the back side, you can see here we also have another clip of some kind, which I figured the straps just run through instead of like clip into, because that's way too small. So the straps just run through that, and that helps hold everything together on the other side. So that was that. In terms of paint job here, I sprayed everything in matte black, and that's pretty much what I did for the whole figure. I sprayed everything in matte black and then layered other grays and gloss blacks over it. But besides the chest sculpt for the harness, all the little, I don't even know what to call it. I guess the vest that buttons in along the side has all been picked out in a gloss black, and so we get some nice layers there and some good variation between the matte black underneath and the gloss like leather black that sits up top. And then all the buttons have been picked out in silver. And coming to the back side, it's the same thing. All the leather upper bits are done in gloss, and all the buttons are done in silver. So now moving on to the arms. We have Winter Soldier's silver robotic cybernetic arm. I repainted the star. Wait, did I no, I didn't repaint the star. I take that back. The star stayed the same. I wanted to paint it to a Soviet star. I was gonna say I painted it, and then I realized, no, he came with the US star. I wanted to paint a Soviet star, but it's okay. We got this one instead, and that's probably better. He's repping America here. We got that. Moving down, I did the seamless joints. I did seamless joints for everything on this guy, but seamless joints for the cybernetic arm was particularly difficult just because I had to line up the sculpt as best as I could with the existing arm lines, and so filling in those gaps. For this whole arm, it got repainted. It was a very flat, kind of gross gray silver before. I put everything in gunmetal first, is that I took all the cracks and I just dabbed gunmetal in it and just sort of wiped it off. And then after that, I dry brushed silver over it. And so as you can see in sort of the cracks where we have this line, like these lines running through it, it's much darker, and you can see some of the gunmetal that runs into sort of like the cybernetic muscle. And that's all gunmetal, and that just adds some extra depth to it, because if everything was a flat silver all the way through, you really wouldn't be able to appreciate the lines as much. Coming down to the hand has been repainted. Before, the knuckles weren't picked out in silver when it came originally, and then obviously the glove was a different color. I believe it was blue before. So now the glove has been redone in a gloss leather black, and the fingers and the rest of the hand have been done in chrome, as well as picking out the knuckles. The watch, I just gave it a digital like jade faceplate, and that just helps it look a little bit better. Before, I think this whole piece was just a, black plastic, so not very interesting. So help pick that out a little bit. Moving on to the right arm, all of this is resculpted. I used the original Winter Soldier arm. Nothing has been modded here from the figure, but everything has been repainted and resculpted. I don't like that he has one robotic arm that can take a bunch of hits, and then his other armor is just bare. It makes no sense. It's like you want some kind of protection. So I did plating throughout the whole arm, starting off with the shoulder pad up here. You can see, sculpted it with like a semi-futuristic look. Wanted to make it look like really nice plate armor. And then he has a strap that runs across either side, so that's how we know it holds on. And then coming down to the bicep, we see that we have a front plate for the bicep armor, and then we also sort of have like a tricep plate on the side. And then there's no armor on the back because that would be too clunky. It would hinder his movement too much, but he does have that strap in black gray that runs all the way around it. Moving down, farther down the arm, his elbow has actually been picked out in a little bit of a gunmetal and a gloss black, and that just makes it feel like there's a little bit of texture there. It's not really about having armor there necessarily, because armor on the elbow really sucks, but it helps know that like he has a little bit of movement there. It's not the same material as everything else, so sort of just getting into some character design elements right there. Coming down to the forearm, we have a forearm plate on the outside, and we have a strap that runs all the way around, as you can see. And then his hand, it's relatively standard. This is the hand he came with, except we did paint it in black, and then I also did sculpt these knuckles, so he also hits hard with both sides, trying to create some balance there between his robotic arm and his human one. So coming to the belt now, this belt is from 112 Shop. If I remember correctly, it was from the Snake Eyes, like Ninja Commando kit. It's been repainted. I painted it in a matte black and then picked things out with gray and chrome. And then obviously it's been modded a ton because this whole back end is done in elastic. If you guys know my channel, you know I love elastic for doing belts and other sorts of accessories, and that just helps with the fit of everything. It gives it some flex to it. We have a knife sheath on the back for his dagger, and then I figured we'd add some extra grenades because he has an underbarrel grenade launcher on his AK, so it only makes sense that he has some grenades to fill up on. Speaking of filling up, we also have the ammo carrier right here. You can see that he has double stacked pistol mags and assault rifle mags, and I love that. I think it's just a smart design by Hasbro. I'm glad they made it like this, and it makes sense for Winter Soldier to be using too. So it was an easy, just, you know, sort of part swap on there. And then coming to the other side, this is also from the Ninja Commando 112 Shop set. This is the pistol holster. I didn't use the original pistol because it's like this giant Glock, I think. And it didn't feel very tactical for Winter Soldier, so I ended up going for the like 911 or 1911 with the compensator on it. So we have that. Obviously it's attached in elastic bands. So now probably the biggest change of everything is Winter Soldier got entirely new legs. If you guys know the original figure or familiar with it at all, he has these big baggy like cargo pant type things. It's just gross, it's loose, it makes no sense. He has this really nice tight clean top, and then he's got these big pants that run most of the way down. So these, I'm gonna have to remember what I used here because it's like 4 different figures to make these legs. These uppers, the thighs are from the Falcon figure, or the Falcon figure. So I believe it was a Toys R Us exclusive that came in a 3-pack with Vision and Hawkeye's daughter, the other Archer. I think she takes on the name Hawkeye too. I forget her name. But that's besides the point. It's those legs from that exclusive Falcon. So those are for our uppers. These knee pads are from Scourge, and I think you can also find them on Blade and the purple guy. I forget what his name was. Paladin. You can also find them on Paladin. So sort of talking about the fabric change again, like the different types of materials, these knee pads are also done with a little bit of gloss black and gunmetal, just like the elbow. So once again, we use that to, you know, make it a little bit extra shiny so that you can tell that it's not armor, but it is some extra, you know, different type of material to help with movement. And obviously if he has ribbed stuff at the knee pads, it's probably a little bit of extra fabric padding, as well as helps him get a little bit more knee bend in there. So that's what we did that for. Coming down here, if I remember correctly, these are pretty standard Marvel Legends lower legs that come on your Bucky Cap mold, and they were just the ones that I felt fit best between the knee pads and the lower legs. It flows really nicely. And then coming down to the boots, these are the Daredevil uppers from the new Daredevil, the black and red one that came, I think it was the Spider Build-A-Figure. I think that's how, it's the giant spider droid Build-A-Figure. That's the Daredevil it comes from. It's the Daredevil with the batons with the rope in between. You guys can find it, black and red. But this is where the upper boots are from, and these lower boots, I believe, are from the Netflix Punisher, if I remember correctly. Or it might be from the original Winter Soldier. Honestly, it's been a little bit since I've made this guy, and I didn't look at the work in progress pictures, but it's one of the two. My bet is on Netflix Punisher, though. So yeah, so the most complex part of this build was fitting these legs together. I had to run through a bunch of different parts tests to find something I liked. And this is it. It creates a very, very cohesive and very tactical looking design. It's smooth, it feels military, and it feels quick. Winter Soldier doesn't look like he's burdened by those pants anymore, like these big, baggy, you know, cargo pants. So he looks a lot better, and obviously this is done in a gloss black, really brings out that leather boot look. and then the laces have been kept in a matte black, so you get a little bit of differentiation there. The cuff of the boot is done in a black gray, so you get even more differentiation there too. So really just using the different paint tones I have to bring out some difference in the design. Very subtle stuff, but it really, really helps. And like I mentioned before, the joints have all been done in that seamless fashion. And doing these was really, really fun on the upper legs because I had to match the wrinkles and make sure everything looked really, really seamless. And I think I was able to achieve that pretty well. We can even look at the insides of the legs. As you can see there, still looks pretty seamless. So I think that turned out really well. So now moving him back and refocusing the camera. Thank you guys for watching this review. It's just a pretty simple rundown of what I did. I don't think anything, was too crazy, but it was definitely some much needed modifications just to really help out the look of Winter Soldier in general, because I feel like a lot of people were disappointed by the new figures release. And so with that, this is how me and my girlfriend first, made her a little birthday gift, but also we're able to figure out some pretty neat solutions to make Winter Soldier feel a lot more modern and a lot more tactical. So thank you all for watching. Sorry there hasn't been a lot of video reviews lately. School has restarted, if you don't know, at least it has for me. And so I have a lot less time on my hands, and so I'm able to record a lot less. And so I know you guys like seeing reviews for most of the figures I make. I won't be able to get a review out for every one of them, but if there are special ones like this guy, I will take the time and set aside the time to film a review. So thank you all for watching. I always appreciate the support. If you only know me through YouTube, you should follow me on Instagram at Tosh_customs. My Instagram username is in the description of every video and is also in the About section of my channel, and there's a link there that should take you right to my page. I am much more consistent on Instagram, although yes, my Instagram has also been a little bit slow because of school. But if you want more updates and more work in progress pictures, that is the place you want to be. So you can find me there. And if you have any questions, please DM me or please leave a comment on the video. I'm always happy to answer questions and just talk to you guys. And so I really want to thank you for any sort of support you give. And so with that, once again, thank you all for watching this review, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. See you guys later.